For something a little different, I've decided to do an aluminium nut, and so I realised I didn't have a hacksaw, so I'm basically just going to chop off a bit here using a file, and we'll see how we go. And here we are, one base nut blank out of aluminium. It was good to shape actually. It shapes very much like bone in a lot of ways. And here you can see it sitting in the slot. Okay, some basic tasks now. First of all, you can see where I'm going to put the 5 neck bolts. They're set up so that they won't hit the carbon fibre inserts in the neck, and this part will be kind of filed down so that my hand can get right in there, so I can reach up to the 22nd fret with ease. Also, I need to work out where the radius will be. I'm going for a 12mm radius, so that means what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a line here and then around here, and I'll file that flat. And I'll put a further line and a further line down there. I'll file those flat, so I'll have 3 planes, and then I'll smooth those out with sandpaper. And to do that, I'm using a pencil taped to another pencil set at 7mm, and then it'll be set at 10mm. Here are the lines, the double lines marked on, so that I can start rasping. First I take out and make an absolutely flat part between this inner line and this inner line. And to do that, I set it up in a vise, and I get various rasps, and off I go. As you can see, we're getting very close to the final shape. The curves are in. Looking a bit sexy. There's a lot more sanding to do, but the basic shape of the base is there. I also put in a little carve here with a gouge so that I got the truss rod access. Now what I've done is I've drilled in here with a 15mm bit, and then I drilled through with a 5mm bit, and that's to house these things, which will go in there. And when there's a bit of finish in the guitar, it'll actually kind of fill up that hole, so they'll sit really well. I've also worked out where my neck will be, and I've drilled some holes, so now I just have to bolt it all together. And now we simply attach the bridge. And so here we have a kind of first draft of the nut. It will get reshaped, the slots will get deeper, and I'll have to fit things more to the base, but this will start us off. Now I just have to string up. And here we have it. The base all strung up. The bridge is on, the nut is on. I'm going to change the nut. I'll do the spacing slightly differently, but basically, I mean, the action is okay. The neck is nice and straight. It seems to be holding up well. It's good. It doesn't have too much of a neck drop. All in all, I'm very, very happy with it. It appears to work just fine. Well, now it's time to make a few more holes, and I've been looking at different spots to put the jack, and in the end, after examining various places, I decided that I'd put it about here on the body. And in order to do that, I need a brace, and I need a bit. And this is a 22mm Forstner bit. I line up my bit with my brace, have a good look at where I'm going, and in I go. Now I'm just making a quick template for the control cavity ledge. There needs to be a ledge so that I can put a plate on the back there, and it will sit flush with the body. And this template will be used both for the plate and for the body itself. I'll put it directly on the body and cut around and prepare the cavity with chisels.
そう、こんにちは。
Hello, こんにちは。
これは隣です。これもうバスを作りました。
ベースギター。
そうですね。ありがとうございます。
I've now put in the ledge for the control plate, and I now take the router plane and simply flatten out this cavity so that the pots will sit correctly. A little trick with router planes is that normally the blade attaches here, but if you want to get really low, lower than the blade adjuster can go, what you do is you take out the blade and put it directly into the collar like this, and this allows you to get very low down. And that gives us a pot set at the perfect height inside. One small task that has yet to be done is the making of the control plate. I'm using yet another offcut of the fingerboard for that, and I've marked on the shape using my famous template. So let's cut it out. Now, with the piece more or less done, we simply have to plane to the rough thickness and then sand down from there. So here's our body, all of the holes drilled, everything's done, we've even got our control cover there, everything is now ready. All it needs is sanding and filling and painting. The same is true of the neck. It's completely done. It just needs final sanding and it'll get an oil finish. Now, our body has been sanded all over and looks very nice. So it's time to go on and do some finishing. I'm going to do some grain filling. And in order to do that, I'm going to use something called Z-poxy. This is a two-part resin. You can see I've actually wrapped plastic bags around my hands because I realized that I didn't have any rubber gloves. So, the trick about things like Z-poxy is that it's best to measure them by weight. Now the thing about something like Z-poxy is that you really do want to mix it well, because if you don't, you wind up with a horrible sticky mess. And of course, pine doesn't traditionally use grain fillers, but Z-poxy will give a hard coat, and so in a way, it's not just a grain filler, it's also a hardener. Now there's a guy who's got some YouTube videos, he's called Sully. They're called Sully's Guitar Garage, they're fantastic videos, and he's done a lot of work with Z-poxy. So he's probably the go-to guy, and a lot of us who've used it learned about it from his videos. And here we have it, the first coat is applied. It's a rather attractive sort of amber colour, I really like it. The good things about this, it sands very, very easily and it sands very, very flat, so that when you paint over it, you don't need to do a lot of sanding of the paint afterwards because you're spraying directly onto a very flat surface. I'll leave it overnight. Tomorrow morning I'll apply another couple of coats after sanding it down, and when those are dry, well, the instrument will be ready for spraying.